Hello dear students, today we are dealing with the next part of our idea of cultural studies. In the last class we have talked about the idea of cultural studies, how it emerged and what are different elements that are behind the emergence of these cultural studies. And at the end of previous lecture we have talked about the European influence on cultural studies, that is the first and most important influence on cultural studies, that was structuralism, and how this structuralism impacted on cultural studies that we have to study now. So, while studying that we have to move on to the most important structuralist, that is Ferdinand de Saussure. So, today we will discuss about Ferdinand de Saussure and his concepts that has strong impact on the cultural studies. So, let us move on to Saussure. Ferdinand de Saussure was a Swiss linguist and philosopher. He was a linguist and also a philosopher, and his ideas laid a foundation for many significant developments in both linguistics and semiology. Okay. And all this happened at the early 20th century with his most influential work, that was Course in General Linguistics. Now, you might have heard about Ferdinand de Saussure in third year, I think, because there you might have studied structuralism, and this Course in General Linguistics, though it came later on, or it is published in book form in later on, but this is the series of lecture that has been delivered by Ferdinand de Saussure from 1907 to I think 1909. Okay, so near about that time itself, and this these lectures that has been compiled by his students, and later on it has been published in Course in General Linguistics. So, in this seminal work he has talked about linguistics and semiology, the study of language, all these things. So, Saussure insists that the relation between a word and its meaning is constructed. Now, this is the base and basic idea of Saussure, that whatever word we have different names for different objects, particularly he is talking about language, how this language came into existence, and he says that there is a relationship between word and its meaning, because whatever words are there, that different words and what its meaning is there, in between that we have a particular relation, and this name or the word that has merely not given to that. Okay. And he is directing us to the cultural and social dimensions of language. Now, see, when we have a language, language is also part of culture, because in different cultures different languages is being used, and that is why in the same way, just like language in different, see how the things get similar. When there would be a particular object and what name that has been given to that object, the same name may not be there in different cultures if their language is different. Okay. So, means as per language get changes, as per culture get changes, language also get changes, as per language get changes, culture also get changes. So, they are interdisciplinary elements, they are related with each other. So, in this way or in this course we are studying Ferdinand de Saussure, or particularly in the text that has been prescribed for us. So, there the editor, he has focused on Saussure with cultural studies, its impact, means Saussure's theories, whatever theories he has established. So, what is the impact of that theories that has been communicated strongly by throughout this essay, and we will study that. But he says language is cultural, okay, and not natural. Language is not natural. If language would have natural, then we would have learnt all the languages in this world. Okay, that is why language is cultural. Cultural means what we observe surrounding to us, what we understand, what we listen to our family members, to the nearest people from us, and we try to imitate that, and in this way we learn a language. And when there is the question about the origin or all this means how language came into existence, at that time also we come to know that it is cultural. As per different cultures, the language get changes, the name of particular word get changes, and particular words meaning also get changes. The same word we use in Marathi, okay, that may not be used for the same meaning in different languages, in Hindi or in other languages in India or even in English. So different words are there that has been used for same meaning. Okay, the same thing is there, its meaning is same, but when we use that when we use a word in a particular language, that would be different than the word used in other language. So that is there, and that is why he says language is cultural. Means different cultures, they would have different language. In a particular culture, the language will develop in a different manner, different words, different phrases, different slogans that would be used in different cultures, and so the meanings it generates are also cultural. As I told you, the same word may not have same meaning in different languages. If we are using a particular word in Marathi, and if you pronounce the same word in English, then its meaning would be something different. That word will would represent something different, it will provide different meaning, and that is why culturally also it get changes. In a particular culture, what meaning something emerges or something gives us, the same meaning may not be given in different cultures. So there are different elements that are related with language and culture. And according to Saussure, the way in which language generates meaning is important. For Saussure, the ways means in what way, how this language generates meaning, that is very much important, and he has focused. So how this language get how the language generate meaning? The language generate meaning according to the culture, means in what culture, in what context we are using that, as per that the meaning of that particular word get changes. Even in English also we have different words with we call them as homophones, homonyms. Okay, so these words, what they do, they are similar in spelling. Homonyms, as we know, they are similar in spelling, they are similar in pronunciation, but it conveys different meanings. In what context we are using that, that is very important, and in the same sense in what culture we are using the particular word, that gives us different meaning. And Saussure has focused on the ways that are able in which language generates its meaning. Again he insists that the function of language is not to fix inherent meanings or the definitions. Okay, means what he is going to tell us, that whatever language gives us, what meaning, what ideas that has been communicated by language, that are not fixed one, because language is not inherent. The meanings that has been given to particular word, that are not inherent. Inherent means originally, tradition to tradition, it may not remain same, and the meaning of such a things that may get changed as per the era or after some particular time, some particular time period. Different things, different changes would happen in the language, and this would also be the impact of culture. Means as the culture get changes, the meaning and the word selection in that particular language, that would get changed. Because see, when we are talking about the rural and rustic culture, okay, though if we compare a person from a rural culture, rural background, and if a person, same persons are there, but another person who lives in metro city. Okay, both are same, just they are living at different places, and that is why they follows different cultures. So, when we compare these two different persons, one from a rural area and other one from urban area, their cultures become different, because in rural area we have different cultures, norms, and that they follows, but in urban metro cities we would have different culture, and the same object would be there in front of them, and the person from rural area, he will talk in a different manner about that, and the person in urban area or metro city, he would talk it in a different manner, because when culture get changes, the way of language, the expressions, that also get changes, the meaning of particular thing, that also get changes, and that he is telling us language is not static, it is continually developing, continually progressing. The words that might have been used at the time of your grandfather when he was in his youth or like you, so the same word may not be used, that might have been completely neglected, deleted, and some new words might have been added in instead of that. So, in this way there would be so many such a things that happen in language, and according to generation language get developed, new words get added into it, and changes would be there. So, there is no fixed meaning, fixed definition of a word in a language. Language is a system of relationships, okay, and language is something that directly don't give you the particular and exact meaning, because it is a system of relationship. It relates the particular word with different meanings, and it establishes categories and makes distinctions through networks of difference and similarity. When we use language, when we use a particular word, at that time that word does not only give you the meaning, exact meaning of that particular object, but instead of that it also provides us different hidden meanings behind that, different meanings that would be conveyed throughout that, behind deep meaning that we may call. So, that meaning would also be provided, and that different meanings that would be provided with difference and similarity. Okay. And for that he has given the example, and he says, when we think of the word man, we attribute meaning by specifying the concepts similarity or difference from other concepts. Means what man is. So, when we have to say, or when the idea, the definition or the meaning of man we have to communicate or present or explain, at that time what we have to do? We have to give its similarities with other elements, means what it would be like and what it would not be. So, both the things, differences and similarities, that we have to communicate, and we will consider what such a word tells us that this object is not a boy. Okay. A man means what? It will give us the idea that it is not a boy, it is not a girl, he is not a woman, he is not so on. So, in this way, means when a particular word we are uttering, we are using, so we would have different meanings behind that and differences with that, similarities and differences, both the element that would be communicated. The cultural relations are reproduced through the language system. Okay. And what he said, see, to extend the previous example, the word man might also generate its meaning in opposition to other concepts. Now, in the previous part, what we have in the previous section itself, we have seen when we are saying a man, so it is not a child, it's he is not the girl, he is not a woman. So, in this way it also provides us different meanings than that also, and that would be called as cultural meaning. What meaning it gives us? When we say man, it represents he is not a weak person or not weak, not so much emotional, not so much sensitive, and that go to build up the particular cultural definition of the male role within gender relationships. Means in different discipline, different meanings that would be provided. As I told you, the simple same word cell, suppose I okay CELL, when we say cell, there would be different meanings. If we are using it in a botanical concept, they would tell us about different meanings of that, different definitions of that word. When we use the same word to physics students, then he will define it in a different manner. Means in what different context we are using that, it provides different meaning, different definitions. And similarly, culture, in what culture we are using the particular words, that in that culture its meaning would be different, and that is why there is a strong relationship between language and culture. The insights contained within Saussure's theory of language have relevance beyond linguistics because they reveal to us the mechanism through which we make sense of our world. Because whatever ideas, may see what he has talked about in the theory of language, he has talked about, means he go beyond the linguistics, and what he tried to convince or what he tried to reveal to us, he communicates us the mechanisms through which we make sense of our world. Language, he has talked about language, it is a kind of mechanism, means in what way we get the meaning and sense of the world. He has talked about that throughout his theory of language. And specific social relations are defined through the place, language. Language allocates them within its system of relations. And what he talks about, the specific social relations, means in particular social relations that are defined through the place at different places, okay, as per the time and place, as per the social relations, the language allocates to the speaker or the audience, and in that particular system there is a relationships, means audience and speaker, which type of language or what language we are going to use, we use it in particular social relations, because whatever we are using, it depends on the relation between the persons, the speaker and audience, the listener. So on that basis also we use different language. At different places we may use different language. The same language we may not use at home and in the college. The same language what we are using with our friends, we may not use it with our teachers. So such a different, in different context, different places, the meaning of language or the word it get changes, and means we have to be cautious and careful about language. Reality is made relative, while the power of constructing the real is attributed to the mechanisms of language within the culture. And what he says, reality is made relative while the power of constructing the real, the attributed to the mechanisms of language within the culture, means in a particular culture, okay, the mechanism of language would be particular. As I previously also I told you, in a particular language, which in a particular culture, the language what we are using, its mechanism, its characteristics, that would be different. And if we use that language in different culture, then automatically its mechanism would get changed. Now see the English language, okay, and we use this language in different parts of India, okay, in the world itself we use it, but we are thinking about only India. In different parts of India we would have different mechanisms of English language, the way of communication, all these things that would be different. If we listen to the northern part, okay, their English, that would be different. The English in Maharashtra, the middle India, that would be different. If we move on to the south, then there the English, that would be different. So with different, in different cultures, the mechanisms of language, they get attributed, they get changed, and the real attribution means if we want to get the real meaning of that particular word, particular language, so then we have to use it in a particular culture. In that particular culture, we will get the particular meaning. It means, see, now this is also about the text work that has been written far behind, some 1000 years ago, and if we are studying that work now, so that many the ideas that has been communicated by authors that may not be relevant with contemporary society, because at that time the society, social conditions, the culture, that would be different. So all these different things that are also indicative and important one in case of language as well as culture. Meaning is revealed to be culturally grounded, even culturally specific. Okay, so till the time I have told you the same thing is there. Meaning is culturally grounded, means whatever meaning is given, or it is particularly meaning gets constructed, and these meaning they get constructed on the basis of culture. In a particular culture, the meaning of a particular object that would be different, and it also get changes when culture get changed. Different cultures may not use different language systems, but they may also inhabit different worlds. When we talk about different cultures, in that different cultures, the languages that are used, that would be definitely different one, or the pattern, the mechanism that has been used in that language, that would be different one. So in the same sense, the language they use, that are also different one, and even they inhabit different worlds itself. So many things are different in different cultures, and language is also part of that. Culture where in meaning is generated and experienced becomes a determining productive field through which social realities are constructed, experienced and interpreted. Now see, whatever meaning that are being attributed to particular objects. Okay. Now according to Saussure, we attribute meaning to particular objects, and that are changing, not static, that get changes after some time, particular time. So in the same way, as we know, on what ground we give meaning to that particular object. See, in this world different objects are there, and in different languages different objects are named in a different way, and just before we have talked about the meaning that is attributed on the basis of culture. In a particular culture, the meaning of particular object would be different one, and the same thing here he is communicating, means in what way the meaning is get generated and experienced, means in which culture the meaning of a particular thing get generated and experienced, that becomes a determining and productive factor, and that is why culture is very important in the case and in the development, in the role of language and the development of language also, or the construction of language also. After that, Saussure's next step is outside the specific domain of linguistics. He moved on a bit out of the domain, out of the linguistics, and he argues that the principles which structure the linguistic system can also be seen to organize other kinds of communication systems. Means this is not only about the language, the written, the word, okay, that we use, the spoken language, but different elements also. Means whatever principles, particularly as we have talked, that is culture. Suppose in what way culture is responsible in the construction of a language system. Similarly, it is responsible in the other forms of communication system also. This other form of communication means non-verbal communication would be there. Okay, not only writing but also non-linguistic systems, signs, different elements, different gestures, postures we use. So it would be important in governing images would be there, the conventions of good manners. So all these things, on that also we would have strong impact of culture. And Saussure proposes an analogy between the operation of language and the operation of all other systems that generate meaning, seeing them all as signifying systems. So, language as well as all other signifying systems, what type of images that would be represented. Now, see, it is a common, okay, if you are aware about the toilets, okay, that has been used in villages, particularly the social toilets, or we can call it as public toilets. So, the images that has been used there in that on that on the entrance of that, there would be the image of a man and the woman on a particular. So, the same image, okay, the image that has been used there, the same image you may not find it on the hotels, particularly 3-star, 5-star restaurants and hotels, or in on the public toilets of the metro cities, because their image that would be different one. There would be the modern man, okay, to say that that toilets in metro cities, there you can find a modern man on it, and in villages, in rural area, there are also public toilets, there you can find common rural image of a man. Means different images, what images we use, what gestures and postures we use, that are different one. The simple gestures in villages or in our rural part, we use the pair of hand to welcome the guests, but the same may not be used in metro cities. There we use a handshake to welcome someone. So, this different things are there in, and this systems of communication, okay, this is the communication system, what images you are displaying there, okay. So, whatever image was there on that toilet, it is to communicate you that this is for male, this is for woman. So, this communication system and all such a communication systems, Saussure called them all as a signifying systems, and these systems offers enormous possibilities for the analysis of cultural systems that are not languages, but that work like languages. Okay. So, all these different systems, okay, all these different systems, they helps us, or they enormous possibilities are there. They offers analysis of cultural systems that are not languages. Cultural systems are not languages, but they work like languages. Means what meaning should be given to particular things in a particular culture, it is similar to that of what meaning should be given, or the word should construct its meaning. What meaning is being constructed to the particular word, the same in that way itself, the particular action or particular event, whatever it may be, in a particular culture, it would get different meaning. In some cultures that would be good one, in some cultures that would be neglected, in some cultures that would be criticized. The same incident, same event, that may not be completely accepted in each and every culture. As per the culture get changes, the event and its meaning, that also get changes. After that, Saussure's system thus recognizes the power of determining structures, okay, that his idea of Lang and Farol, as he has communicated. The structuralist, sorry. So, here we come to the end of Saussure, and after that we have another structuralist who has their share and their work that is related with structuralism, and that also has impact on culture. So, till the time we have talked about Ferdinand de Saussure. So, whatever he has focused on language, and as we know, language get constructed in a particular culture. As per the culture changes, the meaning of language also get changed, and just like language get constructed, or the meaning in language that has been attributed to particular word, in the same sense the meaning that has been attributed to particular event incidents in culture also, and that is why the development of language and development of culture, they are parallel to each other. So, now move on to other structuralist. The another one was anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss, and he adopted Saussure's method to decode the myths. Okay. Claude Lévi-Strauss, he has focused on myths, different myths he has used, the symbolic systems and even the customary practices employed in the preparation of food of primitive societies. Means what type of life you lead. Okay. In particular myths, means he has focused on different myths, traditional stories, and in that he has used these structures, structuralist analysis he has used there for that myth, and there he talks about the practices of the preparation of food in the primitive societies, and this also is related with our culture, means what type of food, cloth, all these things that are part of culture. After that, another structuralist that we have, the French semiotician Roland Barthes, and he applied it to the analysis of the codes and conventions employed in the films, sports, eating habits of contemporary Western societies in his mythologies. These mythologies is the name of work by Roland Barthes, and in that work he has talked about, means he has used the structural analysis, the idea of Saussure, that is the construction of language. The same thing he has used in the construction, development of films, sports, eating habits, and combinedly if we see all these things, okay, what this Lévi-Strauss is talking about, what Roland Barthes he has talked about. So, all these things that are related with culture, and it has a strong relationship between culture and language, and that is why this structuralism, it has strong influence on the cultural studies. And so, we have discussed about structuralism. In the next class, we will talk about different ideas that impacted on the cultural studies. Thank you so much.